town you never heard of.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Common Folk Podcast with Ben, Morgan, and Andy.
Welcome back to Common Folk.
That's right. Podcast for the people, by the people.
I feel like inadequate dealing with this little mixer we have here.
Oh my God.
Why?
After last week's episode.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We were put like, this shit is not good compared to theirs.
No one talks shit about that mixer.
I'm just saying.
I've done a lot of reviews and I've compared it to other ones. Like it's a little beast.
It works awesome.
Little beast.
Little
But
beast.
theirs was like,
Last week, if you listened
ridiculous.
last week, we were at NFM in Omaha, and they had their own producer.
Yep.
The dude's got a board that's about, what would it be, like six or eight of these,
And it has
if you were to add them all up.
About 500 more buttons than that too.
Yeah.
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 Four live cameras that he was bouncing back and
He was
forth
showing us
from.
videos of ourselves.
I mean, it would have been nice if you would have told me that. But actually, I'm glad you didn't, Andy, because I would have been more nervous.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, right when I sat down, I was like, is this guy going to be like,
But
to talk louder?
Yeah.
Or he's going to be like in my ear. That would have been so distracting. He didn't. He was
Yeah.
amazing.
But it's more on our side, but we're having issues getting the actual video content from them to us. Just our don't want to throw any services under the bus or whatever, but
Yeah.
it just seems like no matter what you do, technology will catch up with you and get in the way.
Oh, because they sent the live, like,
Yeah,
And we can't get it up.
Yeah, we got the whole recording. We got all of it. We're going to get it up. It's going to get up. It's just that,
Well, if people are listening
Yeah.
to this right now, will this episode be after that one?
no, we'll do
This one will
Nebraska
be
French
okay.
Mart first.
So it'll be
Yeah.
next week.
Yep.
Is the one we're talking about right now?
Yep. Yep.
oh.
No, wait. Which one are we
We're
going
going
to do?
back. We're going to Back to the Future.
Wait, which one are we gonna? Which one are we doing first?
People have already heard NFM.
When they hear what we're talking right
Yes.
now. Okay.
So they'll get it.
yeah.
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 But that was
bet people
legit
are
studio.
seriously
You know what?
confused.
Hashtag goals, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
it was really cool.
we
I
could.
liked it.
I liked the lighting. I mean, I felt like I looked good.
So dumb this
I'm
down
on board.
for me. I know I shouldn't interrupt here, but tell me give me a little bit of the background of what you guys did last week.
Yeah. So, well, Andy set up. Well, tell them because you had met these folks
Yeah,
at something,
yeah.
and then it turned into that.
Homes for Heroes foundation that Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's really supports, where they just build homes for veterans, usually veterans that had some hardships, something happened overseas or whatever. And a local gentleman that was caught up in some stuff over in the Middle East was awarded a home. And through News Channel Nebraska, they sent me out there to cover it. Well, after the ceremony at the local high school, we drove out there and gave him the key, kind of a ceremonial thing, and he said some words. And the Nebraska Furniture Mart stepped up and provided all the furniture, bedding, couches, recliners, things of that nature. So I got to talking to their people and PR people and marketing people, and they're like, we actually have a studio. And we're like, hey, we take the show on the road sometimes. What if we just came to Nebraska Furniture Mart and heard your guys' story? Because I've always been fascinated with how did this start out of a basement?
Yeah.
Her husband's pawn shop was upstairs, and he let her, Rose Bumpkin, the founder, sell mattresses and furniture out of the basement.
It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
interesting.
interesting. Yeah, I appreciated the conversation and
Yeah.
kind of didn't know what it was going to be when we got there. And
Oh, and Andy was awesome.
yeah,
He was so good.
so nice.
Really, one of the, I would imagine, longest lasting
Yeah.
Omaha originated companies.
They already got their 5th generation family working
That's
there.
crazy.
Yeah.
Just taking over.
When Warren Buffett tells this story, right? Is that's the same story I'm thinking of?
Warren Buffett bought into, and I don't know exactly, but he bought into it like in the 90s, I think, and was a big investor. And then since that time, like Berkshire Hathaway, like I think
acquired
owns,
it. Yeah, that's part
owned-
of their portfolio.
Yeah, but NFM still does their own thing, and actually just drove by that one over the weekend in Kansas City we're talking about. I
Yeah.
mean, that's just so massive,
I don't know. Maybe you would. When you look at like publicly traded companies and how all these things work, are they publicly traded?
Berkshire is,
Berkshire
of
is.
course.
Mhm. Okay.
But
So they're just in
from
their portfolio.
Yeah, I would
Okay.
say they're a company owned by Berkshire.
Okay.
And I think that was kind of their transition plan. As the story goes, they were getting up in years and, needed to have an idea of what to do next. And I think at that point, Warren was an Omaha native and kind of found them, and they found him and found it as a transition plan for the company.
They don't act in any way like they're driven by shareholder value. They don't act like that.
I don't think Warren's ever acted like. I mean,
That's true.
I mean,
That's
I think
very
he's
true.
the most humble investor that I've ever heard speak.
Yeah.
And reputation-wise, he's one that talks about, if you don't have your reputation, you don't have anything. With his managers, I've read The Snowball Effect by him. Was a great book. Kind of talks about his philosophy, and just the humility that guy has. So it'll be interesting now with Charles gone. His partner died probably 2 years ago or a year and a half ago. And kind of what happens now when he's ready to kind of let go of the reins.
Right.
Yeah, because he's getting up there in age, right?
Yeah, I don't know how old, but I think it's time to think about change.
Yeah, he's pushing 90.
That's what I would say, yeah.
I saw him, oh boy, it was probably 5 or 6 years ago now, or 7 or 8. And he looked great, he was with his wife and daughter. So.
Well, we should probably introduce this dapper-looking man over here. He's standing us all up in a tie and nice shirt.
Folks who are loyal listeners probably already recognize the voice.
got to.
Yeah.
What do we got, Andy?
He's our financial guy, Kyle Lechtenberg. It's a new year, turning a new page, so I figured we better get our, financial futures in line. Here's some do's and don'ts for 2025. I heard there's some policy changes starting at the top. So,
It's news to me.
Some executive orders are being signed that might impact business.
Just
I
a
don't know.
few. Only a handful of them.
So anyway, I thought it'd be good to invite my good friend Kyle Lechtenberg back onto the show.
So do you have to dress fancy every day?
It's a loaded question. As an industry, generally, yeah.
I would think so too.
But I think the industry's also gotten more casual.
Has it?
I think my firm has a higher standard than, or it's not my firm, the firm I'm with has a pretty high standard on, how to present yourself, how to dress, and, how to host meetings and kind of all that kind of thing. And I think, just that's probably my personality. I've told mentees before, if you want to move to a new level in life, dress one step higher than the venue you're at. And that's not a big thing. That's not going to change a lot. But if you do it consistently, you're going to put your mindset in a little bit of a different place.
Have you ever heard my rant about ties?
Let's hear it. Sounds like a perfect time. It sounds like I'm going to get crushed here, but let's go with it.
He used to wear ties all the time.
Really?
So, he had to.
When I worked a corporate job, we had to wear ties a lot. I worked in like a few different districts around the country, and like one of them that we worked at, we were in auto parts. I mean, we went to an auto parts warehouse every day where our offices were. You know what I mean? And then we'd go to the stores and we visit customers and things like that. But it was always up to the leader of that distribution center what the dress code was. So depending on where we worked, sometimes it was acceptable that you wear a polo every day. But one of them I worked at, it was you're required to wear a shirt and tie every day. We're selling auto parts, man. But whatever. My tie rant. And your tie's great. I think it looks
Thank
awesome.
you.
And you have a lot at home.
I'm
So.
going to
fine tie. It's a fine
soften the blow a little bit.
I would say I'm only actually tied up 3 to 4 days a week.
Okay.
They keep, Fridays a little.
Ooh, casual Fridays.
Yeah.
So I think ties are just, and I won't go into it, but ties to me are such a funny thing when I think about them. Like if you really step back and think about it, like who, like what do you think the origination was? Like one day somebody was sitting there and was like, dude, if we tie this thing really tight around our neck and it hangs down in front of our shirts and it bounces around all day, it'll add a little bit of color, it'll add some jazz, but it's going to be super formal.
Right.
Like this is going to be the epitome of nice dress. You got to have this thing hanging from your neck every day.
Yeah.
And it's going to be great.
You know what it was? It was some idiot that couldn't get his bow tie right, and so it was like all messed up, and it was hanging straight down. He's like, "No, this is the way it's supposed to be, bro."
See,
Yeah, and
I
they're
thought
like,
it would
"Let's
be.
And he was
extend
an
it."
influencer.
Yeah, he
read
was.
the book Tipping Point.
There you
He got
go.
the whole Europe
He just
into America craze,
dove in
so
with
wear a
both
tie.
feet. Yep.
When I step back and like really take myself away from it and think about ties, I think it's one of the goofiest things that we as a people do with our dress is like this weird thing hanging from our neck is fancy.
I thought it would come from like a collar. I think we should look it up. But like a dog collar. Like, why are we
Oh, that's a woman's perspective right there.
Drag you around with it. Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like
Tied
it's
up
around.
is not wrong,
Right?
apparently.
You said tied up, and but I guess
And
I
Andy
just
was
think it's
laughing
like
over here.
The other thing,
I'm big into that.
here's the other thing I thought about
Morgan,
it.
what are you doing afterward?
Why would we intentionally put something around our neck that in no way easily comes off? So you can easily be choked to death by this thing. Like get this thing stuck in something,
Right.
and have that start yanking you around. You're done dealing. It ain't breaking, and it's not untying.
You didn't tie it right then. Can't you just pull that right off?
No.
If you pull it right?
No, if you
correctly?
if you grab the knot and you slide it out of each other, but you couldn't undo it just by grabbing that.
So
thing.
you're saying right now, like if you just wanted to choke him out, you would just like
could just pull.
grab the tie.
You could totally, and you could
Pull this one.
like if you grab that and you swung it around the back and pulled him backwards, it's going to be choking
my
him.
God.
It's going to cinch him up
hang
pretty
somebody.
good.
Can you
When you-
guys
when you think
understand how
about-
deep he thinks now?
when you-
I'm loving it.
When you think about day
And
to
I
day,
knew I was going to get hammered right when we initiate. I'm like, I'm waiting for the back slap here.
I could kill you right now.
when you think about
Was
day to
Jocko
day
here?
and like
Yeah.
an everyday carry, right? Like what's your
Yeah.
everyday carry kit? You know, your knife, your watch, your keys, your wallet, whatever, and your gun if you're a carry guy, whatever. All of those things are like to prepare you to prevent bodily harm, injury, whatever.
Sure.
The tie is the exact opposite of that. It's like,
Yeah.
let me put this in place so that if someone really wanted to wreck me, they could.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
No, I get you. I hear you, but I love the tie, and I think it's kind of an answer, like a stylish answer to fancy clothes that women were wearing. But what's more masculine? You know, how can we tone it down a little bit?
Yeah, let's put a choker on and hang
Yeah.
it down the front of our chest.
There you go, and make it all silk and pretty, and let's do it.
But it is funny
Really
how
came
it's
from
never.
women, and it sounds like.
I
The
think it was
ability
a
to-
probably
masculine
did.
answer to
It
style.
probably did. There's really isn't like a ton of different clothes guys can say they look fancy in, right?
Right,
It's a
yeah.
bow tie, it's a tie. What else do you got? Like, I guess you
James
could.
Bond has looked the same for over 50 years.
Right. The only way you can
He's a
spice
bow
it up
tie,
is
I
if
think.
you do
Oh,
like
is he?
I think.
a handkerchief, or you
Oh,
get
yes.
little clips for your, like
Yeah, the
I don't know.
cufflinks.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Cuff
maybe
links.
it's probably
Yeah.
it is probably a woman's doing. I'm going to look this
Something.
up
I
afterwards.
don't know. I just think it's funny, like how our mentality. It just shows you like what our mentality can do. Like we've just accepted that
Right.
this is fancy. This is nice.
This
Doesn't
is
matter
what
what
it
it is. That's what it is. And we roll with it.
I thought you were going to say somewhere in there's like, that's why I wore clip-ons every day.
Well, I did read something the other day on Facebook. I think it was shared by our larger family. We have a big family, as Andy knows. We're one of 8, and we have these group messengers, we have group text, we have group app, everything. And they sent something on Facebook about what men's contribution is to daily life or whatever. And then there was this whole big, long paragraph on what a wife and a mother, and there was a lot of clothing in there, like keeping
okay.
you. And I would say for me, over the years, definitely that's been somewhat true. I mean, I'm going to little shout out to Tiffany, but she has always kept me wearing clothes maybe just a little notch above what I naturally would want to. And even back in my full-time farming days, I was probably the best dressed farmer in Boyd County. I'm not saying that.
I was
as a
gonna say,
pat
come
the
on,
back.
man.
That's like it's like a slap if you're from Boyd County. I got made fun of a lot, But
Yeah.
we had collared shirts. We were branded. All of our staff was kind of the same way.
Yeah.
Is the same way. The ones that are still there. And so that was important to. I think she initiated that and thought that, and then I kind of took it and ran with it.
Yeah.
So I would give her, again, back to the woman's fault.
Yeah.
She's probably
He likes to
So,
blame me
overanalyze.
for. He likes to
Nah.
blame me for when he dresses nice too. Like we went out. It was New Year's, right? Just went to a friend's house, and all of his buddies were giving him a hard time. He just wore a nice shirt,
Yeah.
and
Well, I
they're
can't
like,
imagine him
"Oh,"
in a
and he's
tie.
like,
I can't.
"Oh,
No.
Morgan made me wear
for
this."
New Year's. I'm not sure if I'd go with a tie
So-
unless
I think
it was
it was
like
this
a
shirt.
formal.
No.
Yeah.
I literally think it was
no,
this.
no, it was like when we
This is nice.
You had
Normally
got
he
some
has
new
a hoodie
friends.
on.
you had got me some like button-up flannel or something.
Okay, well, anyways, my
Like
point
Charles Barron.
Yeah.
Button up flannel.
Yeah, they're FBN's flannel boys. Did you know? Do you guys remember this? Is the last thing I'll say about ties. Did you ever wear a Western tie?
Oh yeah, in grade school.
is, wait, that's a
Why
little.
was it always like that when we? Yeah, because that was the same
love
way when
wearing
I was a kid. Yeah.
that bolo tie. I love wearing.
Wait,
that
because
bolo
that's a
tie.
little tie.
So was yours? See if we have the same definition. So when I was a kid, so my parents, we have horses out here. It was always horse life and Western life. We go to rodeos and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So they would get me this stuff. So it was like, they called it a Western tie. So it would go around your neck, but it was more like a rope. It was like two ropes.
Yep.
And then they had
Oh,
this like clasp on them.
Yep.
That would be like a little, like maybe like a rock or an emblem or.
I had the dopest one ever. It was a skull. It was a bull skull horns, and I'd cinch that up.
You'd slide that up, and then you had like two ropes hanging
Yep.
down.
Yep.
They'd
Just
have
like-
like little metal tips on them.
Yes.
Just like Wyatt Earp, I was the best dressed at our school play. So
I bet.
whatever the holiday choir show or whatever.
Yep. Yep.
I remember those.
pretty
I never
sweet.
actually had that, but I remember
Yeah.
seeing those. I had clip-ons though. Had a lot
Yeah.
of those growing
They're
up.
coming back due to the popularity of like Yellowstone and
The
things of
Western
that
ties, yeah.
nature. Yeah. But I got a fun Boyd County story for you about fashion. So when we
This
do
ought to be good.
when we do a live broadcast, we're supposed to wear a suit and tie, and we even have a sports jacket that we're supposed to wear. That yellow jacket.
Oh, the
kinda-
yellow, the-
Yep. So I try and find ties that will somehow jive with the yellow sports jacket. But with that, every once in a while, I'll just wear like really nice, really fancy blue jeans. That's acceptable now. I see guys on ESPN wear that. I see guys on USA Today, whatever, wear that in the morning show. So I was wearing those jeans, and it gets back to me. Some guys from Boyd County were making fun of my jeans for being too girly. I'm like, that was like 4 steps down from what my boss wanted me to wear, and I'm still catching
Were
it.
they skinny jeans?
No, they were not skinny jeans. No, they're just
They
just
weren't
nice
Ashley's jeans?
No, they.
I get made. I got one pair of skinny jeans, and I strategically only wear them when my wife tells me to. Without, every time I've worn them, I
Yeah.
get some comment or
Oh, yeah, of course.
the awkward silence that we were talking about before the show. Somebody's just staring at me.
Yeah, they're like,
Yeah.
Well, I say that because
going on
what's his
here?
name? Billy Bob, that's in Landman. He literally went on an interview and says he only wears women's jeans.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
And so,
wouldn't get
anyways,
that,
it was
yeah.
kind of like all over. I saw it over social media, and I was like,
Well-
all right, well, so it's acceptable, I guess.
Okay.
Guys can wear their
I
wives'
could
jeans.
go on a rant for that for a whole podcast
yeah.
too.
Hey, I got something for you guys.
Yeah, what's up?
And I think it kind of fits in with this new age, and skinny jeans gives it a little segue. And Kyle, you're doing a little health thing here too, right?
I am.
Yeah?
I'm in
Okay.
kind of
A juice type of thing.
So is this
fruit
if this
and
is
coffee
if
and
this is the
water
road you're
right
going
now.
down, is this going to be like the 2025? What's the best moves for you?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, I just got some.
Now
for you guys.
mine is not having to do with like a January thing. I do this probably once or twice a year, and it's kind of a reset.
Yeah.
So, and I have given myself the coffee as as an option.
That's your
but
release.
So I think this could be I think
Oh, kombucha.
this is going to be
yeah.
the topic.
Yeah.
This is going to be the topic for this podcast. So we're talking about 2025, not necessarily New Year's resolutions, because I hate the New Year's resolution
Right.
thing.
New
It's
year, new
This
you.
looks like fruit. I think I'm good.
what are
Yeah.
the things you're going to
This is
do
a
in 2025
hoppy
to
one.
better yourself? And we're going to talk financial, but let's start with this.
Yeah, so this was one of our reporters. This is from the First Street Brewery in Hastings, Nebraska. Shout out Hastings, First Street Brewery. They're one of the first in the area to start brewing this kombucha. I have no idea what it is. I just saw the news report on it. Broadcast the game last week in
I've
Hastings.
had some in glass bottles before
Okay.
kombucha, but not a can like this.
So I still don't know exactly what it is. It's a type of tea infused
Yeah.
with this or that. This is a hoppy one. That one is actually
Fruit.
supports. It's fruit, but it's the 1890. It promotes part of that goes to
Is that the
to
Nebraska
pay the
origination?
players. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay.
the
oh, I dig
collective.
this. I totally
Do you
drink
have
this.
to have?
Should have I not? Is this
Try it.
collectible?
No,
Okay.
no. Drink
Do you-
it.
do
That's
you
the
have-
number one seller.
This is good.
Do you have
Really?
to have a? Do you have to be 21 to buy this?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But I don't know that. I know.
Well, it's not alcohol, is it?
Well, it says
No.
it says on this one. It says may contain trace amounts of alcohol, but it doesn't have any alcohol listed on it.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's supposed to, but yeah, it's brewed there
I
at their
don't
brewery.
know how my body's going to react to this. Just if I have to run out of here, you guys, just warning you.
We have 2 bathrooms
Okay.
and the
There's
woods.
a hoppy one too.
You're good.
I do not want the hoppy one. I know that.
You
It's
have
not
to,
bad.
You have to try that one. Yeah, this is. I
Hopped
like
up
this one
cream.
better than that one.
Do I need to clean my palate?
I don't
had
know.
a Scooters.
Ooh, this one's a little more soury. I like it, but I like
kind
that
of.
one.
I like the sour one better.
you?
So, and I've never had this stuff before.
Where'd you buy
so-
these at? Ben's favorite store?
No, the First Street Brewery in Hastings.
Oh, it's actually
Came
at the
directly
brewer.
from them.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. So, I had never heard of kombucha ever before.
Oh, you hadn't? Okay.
But I always thought, rather than having 2 or 3 Busch Lights, before I go to bed, what if I can drink 2 or 3 kombuchas? Maybe that would help out.
Absolutely,
You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Did
So,
we not just talk about this like 2 episodes ago? This is
We
amazing.
did. We did. And
This is
I've always
great
had this in
how-
my mind anyway, and then I just happened to be in Hastings
This
and I
is
remembered
perfect.
it. So yeah.
So this says on here, and we've been talking a lot about gut health lately.
Yeah.
Gluten free.
It says gluten free, and it says on here that there's live probiotics in this.
Ooh, yeah.
It says kombucha is live kombucha cultures yeast and bacteria.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's got multiple benefits.
To your health. #to your health.
So,
there
good.
we go.
I wonder if you can order it
good.
online and they ship it, or you have to go there.
I don't know.
Because there's a .com. We should say what it is.
I was
just
a-
saw it.
Little leery of it because there wasn't any price tags and they only sold in 4-packs, not 6-packs. So I'm thinking, well, I'm here anyway. I'm going to get one of, they had like 7 or 8 different kinds.
Yeah.
So I got the most popular and then one that I thought looked like fun.
So this is 1890 kombucha. So KOMBUCHA.com.
And 1890s
So-
is the collective that pays the University of Nebraska's players.
Dude, I just this week, that's probably the 3rd time I've seen
1890.
and that QR code
Mm-hmm.
to go on and donate money to Nebraska's NIL.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a huge push for it right
Yeah.
now. Like if you want to be competitive and be one of the haves and not have-nots and,
They just
Yeah.
want
They
like.
cut their roster by a third, didn't they?
yeah.
A
Wait,
lot.
That's a big
they just
deal.
want any Joe Schmo to donate?
Yes. And that collective will take care of, okay, we're giving this amount of money to a volleyball player, we're giving this amount of money to a basketball player. They'll do all that.
So is my name going to be on a wall somewhere? Or
If you donate enough, yes, it will.
It's gonna be on the wall.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
It's gonna be on a bathroom stall wall.
You're so funny.
So what, Kyle? What was you said you were doing like some kind of something for the new year with
just
drinks?
kind of about once or twice a year, I do kind of a short week-long thing. And it kind of came from what we were talking about ahead of the podcast was a different guru. If you've ever read the book or heard of 75 Hard,
I haven't.
he has some, I think maybe we touched on it in a past podcast, but I made it 41 days at one point in time. And this was in the summer, probably 4 years ago. But I cut alcohol out of my life. I drank a gallon of water a day. You got to read half hour to 45 minutes a day.
Wow.
You got to work out twice a day. One has to be outside. So basically, you have to like really, and the point of the whole thing is to help you compartmentalize your schedule, like how to develop personal boundaries, compartments, and to be frank, the alcohol was for me the hardest thing to do. Not that I don't see that I have issues with that, but and I was telling Andy actually on the way out here, but that was actually the best for me in terms of like crystal clear thinking, like mindset. Like I don't remember a time even recently where I was thinking very clearly on just my work, my family, my marriage, my kids, everything. Just so it was really hard, but it was a really good experience. And the point is not to do that over and over, not to live that way necessarily. But what I've done from it has kind of been take some of those things and put them into my life every day, and I've kind of went through that on a prior podcast.
I remember you saying that, yeah.
So
what happened on day 42 that made you?
I can't remember. I just remember I started cheating the program enough where I had to.
You were just okay. Yeah.
I think 42, maybe I had a glass of wine.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm going to try for 43. And then I didn't work out or it was something like it just was like the wheels fell off
Like a snowball.
and I'm like, all right, 41 days is all I can do. But I have some friends and family that have made 75 and it really changed their life in a lot of ways from a health standpoint.
So are you doing that right now, or you're just doing like some pieces of it?
Nope, this is just something different that it's just kind of a reset, probably like a fast almost. I was also telling you we have got a lot of transition going on in our family's life, and we're moving to a new home in a week or so, and just along, I don't know if you guys have moved recently, but we did it 4 years ago. And so there's just a lot of things where I kind of want to be reset, so to speak. But I want to emphasize it's not a January 1st reset. This is just happenstance that a lot of things are going on at the same time, and just want to be, like I said, this is a breath of fresh air to talk to you guys and have a fruit drink.
Some kombucha.
Some kombucha.
No, I'm glad you brought this, man, because I've been looking for different drinks. I find myself going to like pretty much everything that I go to has sugar in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even intentional. It's just like, this looks like something that would be good for me. And then I drink it and I start looking at the ingredients, 40 grams of sugar or whatever. I'm like, geez, I can't find anything without it.
I know.
And then the stuff without it is artificial sweetener,
which you don't like.
and then
Well,
I started looking some of those up, and they're like, well, there might be ties to cancer. We're not sure. Just don't eat a lot of it.
They outlawed red
dye. Red dye.
Yeah, just recently. I'm like, what am I? Skittles are my Achilles heel. What am I going to do? Do they quit putting it in there,
And the
or what
reds
do they
are the
do?
best ones.
Yeah,
The red ones are a dull red now. They're not near as much fun, but they're not killing you as fast. So that's good.
So I keep looking for these different drinks, and honestly, the what I've found to be the best one so far with the least amount of shit in it is these waters that have, so they call them like a hop water, or other companies have different names for them, and they're literally like water with some kind of, might have vitamin C and hops for flavor.
Oh, okay. So like
It's
this.
kind of like this, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And they'll kind of have a little bit of a hint of like a pale ale, but no alcohol at all, and it's just water and hop flavor.
Yeah, and you start looking into like aspartame, that could be really bad for you.
For real,
It kind of is packaged so much as like Diet Coke, like it's better for you, it's going to help you lose weight, and then you find out like, no, you would have just been better off
Just
drinking the sugar.
drinking the sugar was like actually better for you than the stuff in that little pink, fake sugar
I
packet.
remember like 7 years
whatever.
ago. God, I used to love Diet Coke. I mean,
Really? You were a Diet Coke head?
Yeah, but definitely not Diet Pepsi.
Wow.
F
What?
that. They're so different.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, but it was Diet Coke all the way.
You Coke people. I just don't get that. Warren Buffett's a Diet Coke guy.
But I
think,
have
yeah.
not.
I think
I
he's
have
a
not drank
Coke
Coke in
heavy.
a long time.
Oh, he is?
I think he drinks Coke straight.
Straight Coke.
Bill
Pretty
Gates
sure.
is the Diet Coke guy.
Could be.
Right.
Isn't
Yeah.
that what old Donnie T does? Doesn't he slam the Cokes all day?
Is he?
Trump?
I don't
Did
know.
you call
I really
him
don't know.
Donnie T?
Yeah,
since
we're on-
when?
yeah, we're on-
Just his
You're on
name.
nickname basis.
we are, yeah.
Donnie T.
It took me a minute to think.
I was like, is that an assistant or a cabinet member? I'm like, I don't.
I was thinking like
recognize
one of
that.
the New Kids on the Block singers. I'm like, is he talking about Donnie?
It's like any celebrity we talk about, he talks about Tay Tay over here. So like, it must just be these random celebrity names.
Yeah.
Whenever I talk to him, I call him Donnie T. I mean, I don't know.
You've called him that every time you've
Oh
seen
my
him.
gosh. All right. Well, that name's stuck. Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh gosh.
So yeah, no, that's good. That's cool. Thanks for bringing that.
I thought you were going to say day 42 was like when I showed up for the golf outing. And like you knew there's no way golfing 18 holes.
Yeah, it does seem like I was going to avoid some drinking, but with that group, I don't think it was
No.
going to be possible.
You can't.
That was
do
a
it.
good
Just-
time.
It was
good
fun.
golf tournament. Takema Farmer Open.
Great golf
Andy
course.
came up and joined.
Yeah, Farmer
I wish
Open.
I could have made the Ponca. Was it Ponca
Oh, yeah.
Farmer Open?
Yeah.
I wanted to. I
Yeah.
don't remember what we had going.
That's
but
another really fantastic.
Are you good at golf?
No, I'm a
Oh.
hacker. I don't even golf. I just hack.
Oh,
But
well.
We socialize. I'm
Yeah.
the same golfer, or worse, probably.
I don't know that. But yeah, the Ponca one's great too. And I mean, there's a lot of support. It's been going on for a number of years. And we like televise it. That's how I got involved with it, was once again through NCN.
You could televise the Takema farmer.
Oh my God!
What do you think?
I'd have to have that little beep
Have
button.
the ESPN have the ESPN booth like
Too
out
much
front
cussing.
with the crowd behind.
Yeah.
They're like, "Who's this guy?"
Oh, do like the
Play-by-play.
you're talking about like the Waste Management Open, that hole 17 or what is it, where there's a big crowd and they're all cussing and throwing stuff out on the green.
That would be fun.
do something like that. Yeah,
Isn't that like a movie like Billy Madison?
That's what I yeah.
yeah, we can do that.
Happy Gilmore.
Get your
Sorry.
Sandler movies right. Jeez.
Yeah, that is
Gosh.
bad. But
So what's your what's on the horizon for you in 25, Andy?
nothing.
Nothing in particular?
I'd just like to get better at a little bit of everything.
Get better at everything. There's
Yeah.
got to be something specific.
You sound like a financial advisor there.
Yeah, you
We're
do.
supposed to ask, what's the specific thing that you want to improve?
Okay, so
Like top 2, top 3, Andy.
basically pick up sponsorships for the hunting and fishing show
Okay.
and our sports betting show. And
Yeah.
if we can't do that, I think we might have to punt on one or both or something because it takes a lot of work.
Yeah, a lot of
effort.
time.
And I don't know. Everybody I talk to is like, "Oh, it's great. Oh, we love it." And the network and everybody else, they want more. They want more. It's like, well, then
Give me more.
Put
Yeah,
some
what-
meat
yeah.
behind it.
I
but
gotcha.
like, we'll go get sponsorships. So like, no one's stopping me from getting sponsorships, but it's like a balance. Like to make something and produce it and to make it sound good, to make it look good, to make it funny, to make it light, to make it entertaining. That takes a lot of time, effort, and thought.
Yeah.
And then you can't just do that, shut that off, and then just hit the streets for 2 months straight and find sponsorships. That's why there's a sales department and there's a creative department. Like right now, I'm coming to the realization that I can't do everything, and I definitely can't do everything at a high level. In fact, I'm just kind of a average everything, so
Right.
Well, I think
gotcha.
what you're falling victim to is like as entrepreneurs in general, we take on too much. We always take on too much. It's always like,
yeah, I didn't even mention
Yeah.
this podcast.
right, yeah, I can do that. No, I can do that. I can do that. Oh, there's an opportunity there. That could help. My business over here as well, and on and on and on. You do all this stuff, and eventually you find yourself, what
Yeah.
you're talking about, doing everything kind of average
Yeah.
Or I say like half-ass.
rather than one or two
Not
things
meaning
really
to.
well.
says it's half-assed. We're like, oh, we're doing okay, right?
Yeah.
No.
I
Kinda
know it's
somewhat,
not like
yeah.
half-ass effort. It's just there's only so much time in a day. So of course you're dropping this ball to carry this ball, but then tomorrow it's opposite. That's to me that just seems not productive. But I
Yeah.
don't have the same brain as him.
I think that's back to your point. Every entrepreneur runs into this, like back to what we're doing in 2025. Probably the most exciting thing is working with working with business owners on kind of that topic of what do you want to improve. And the biggest problem that I see is how many hours do you think you have in a day? And I've had to go through a lot of that with my own life, my own family, my own business. And it's kind of like let's actually do the math and add it up. And a lot of times it's like, well, no wonder this is hurting so bad, or no wonder this isn't working. I have 30 hours of work to do, and I have 10 hours to do it, or whatever the number is.
Yeah.
Are you seeing people thinking they have like 8 or 9 hours a day, but really once they get out of bed, have coffee, decide to take an hour lunch, like it's really 6? I mean, is that
Right.
like if you
Yeah.
break it down, or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
there's
a
some
smaller
statistics
window.
around like how productive people in general are in the workplace. And
Okay.
I can't quote them, but
Yeah.
I know an old company that I was part of a board on. They tracked the efficiency of the staff, and they were running around 70%, 70 to 80%. And I don't remember the back office side of those numbers, but I remember how impressed I was that they were tracking them.
Yeah. Just that alone.
And the reality was like, well, and so kind of thinking of that, my goal was always to be around that 90% efficient, because I think you got to leave a little bit of margin. You got to figure out how to create some margin, because none of us do that well.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to spend a little bit more time on this email or on that phone call, or even get caught up on scrolling or something. Like I'm constantly, like this morning, our new episode dropped this morning on ESPN radio. As soon as that happens, our video production comes out on YouTube. So that all needs to be coordinated. And once again, you want it to sound good, you want it to look good, and then we have short videos that follow that all kind of build into itself. So I'll end up just editing audio, editing video, putting it, and then it takes just about as much time to put it on all these platforms. Like, where do you draw the line? Facebook, Twitter, X. Run into a lot of people that say, like, why aren't you on LinkedIn more often? We liked it when the episodes were on LinkedIn. And it
like,
did it.
oh.
I was like, that's just one more platform, and it's a whole different platform too, So like it can get overwhelming so fast. And I also feel like I'm not as productive when I just get into this editing mode, because I just sit on my ass and I'm just behind a computer and it doesn't feel right. Even though I'm doing stuff's getting posted. It appears, if you don't know me and you're just following our Twitter account, like, Jesus Christ, Andy's getting after it today, but it doesn't feel that way. So I don't know I honestly just don't know the best remedy.
Gotcha.
I heard a fable the other day. I'm a sucker for those good little one-liners. Warren Buffett, talking about him, he does a lot of them. He's the author of a lot of them. But it was a story of these two loggers, and they'd go out and cut trees every day. And the one for 8 hours, right, or 12 hours, and the one person that would take an hour off over the noon hour, way more than he needed to eat, would always be more productive and cut down more trees than the guy that just worked all the way through 12 hours straight, compared to the guy that did only 11 hours. And like, well, what the hell's the key here? What are you doing for that hour? And how are you able to cut more trees down than me? I'm working a full hour more than you.
Yeah.
And it was because he was taking time off and he was sharpening his chains. So, he was resetting and making himself better in that time off. So
I just heard that too.
Yeah.
It's pretty powerful.
It
like
is.
He's sharpening his blade or chain or whatever, and
So
a lot of truth to that.
my equivalent to that is I take a little bit of time off at about 8 a.m., 7:30 a.m., and I take like a 1 mile walk around the block with my dog. So that's my equivalent right now, but it should probably be better.
Well, no, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, But so, I have no idea.
So there you go. That's
but,
you going to be being better.
Yeah,
That was,
trying to.
Yeah. So.
So have you taken on? You were talking about these drinks and stuff. So are you trying that in the evening or whatever?
No.
But you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
Thinking about not drinking.
Well, I've always been curious about this and thought it'd be a cool replacement.
Yeah.
That's also something where my fragile little ego, like, it needs to be cool. I can't tell people, oh, I just, drink lemongrass or something pussy like that.
Lemongrass.
Lemongrass.
Lemongrass, water,
Yeah.
whatever. So
I harvest my own
I
dandelions
don't
and make
know.
my own tea.
Yep, exactly. No, I don't know.
Ben's found a lot of NAs, haven't you?
Yeah,
Ben
I've
hasn't been drinking.
tried a bunch of different
since
ones.
what? Has it been
It's
over a month?
It's only been a few weeks.
Yeah.
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 But it's just
I don't know. I feel like just ice water. I really like ice water.
Was that a New Year's resolution, or was it more just like, I'm going to just try this? It just happens to be in January.
it was like January 6th.
Yeah,
It was so random.
I didn't have any plans coming into 2025 for sure. Just a couple of things kind of came together, and I was like, all right, well, this seems good. Like Morgan was doing some kind of cleanse with our daughter was back for Christmas, so they decided to do this cleanse thing or whatever, and Morgan was like, well, while we do that, why don't you do a month of no drinking or whatever? And I was kind of like, yeah, whatever. And then I started this firefighter training class that's like a 5-month deal, and as I got closer to that, and it's got quite a bit of physical content to it, so I thought, you know what, that would be good timing. Like, I'll just do it. So the first day of that class, I decided, okay, from the beginning of that class, for as long as I can go, I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to rule alcohol out of my life for the rest of my life. I'll still have a drink here and there, but I'm just not going to drink for this training and see what happens.
75 hard.
And that's till like
Yes.
May. I mean, training's
Wow.
done in May.
Yeah,
So,
I'm not saying that I might not have a drink or two, here in the next few
Right.
months. I probably will, but I went, this is like week 4 or something like that, and even after a week, I was like, this is kind of like the way I feel. Like, this is.
Oh my God, we've talked about so many
like,
things.
Things,
I feel like
yeah,
we could do a
things
podcast
just
on-
kind of started clearing up, and
That's what
I'm sleeping better,
I wanna ask you
and
about
He doesn't have
Yeah.
acid reflux. He's not clearing his
I
throat and
forgot
coughing
about
all
that.
the time.
I was
and-
listening to this podcast that Morgan had sent me. This lady she was some doctor talking about the effects of alcohol or whatever, and the doctor said when you quit drinking, here's the things that you can expect. And the first thing she said was, a lot of people have acid reflux. You don't have that anymore. And I forgot about that. I was like, oh shit. That was after
He was popping Tums all the time.
That was after like 3 days. It's completely gone.
Yeah.
But like I said, just sleeping 100 times better. I feel way more productive.
Well, Kyle said something interesting. You talked about when you stopped that one time, your mind was like you could feel
Crisper.
it. Yeah, crisper,
probably
clear.
about probably day 15. I started noticing, God, life's a little better almost.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
wow. I think the initial part of that was pretty difficult for me. It still would be if I'm not necessarily doing a no alcohol thing, but if you get 2 weeks into it, to me, what I remember was starting to really just the health, like what you're talking about, sleeping better, indigestion, or any of that kind of stuff was really kind of going away. And so that part was good. Where I struggled was just the social, any social event is. I just kind of cave into peer. It's hard not to, and the same with food. If I'm trying to work on my diet a little bit, very hard to be out and social and not have a glass of wine or or a little bit of food. That's where it made it really difficult for me.
Yeah,
I've got my mind set on like food and diet is kind of the next thing, but that'll be way harder. It'll
Is
be
that
way
the
harder.
midlife? I don't know how old you are, but
42.
so
I'm about to be
we're
43.
42, and you're probably 43. So
Yeah, we're 43.
I won't ask.
I'm
Just,
43.
Okay.
I'm a little bit older than him.
So for me, when I hit 40, the wheels started falling off on I couldn't run anymore very well. I've tried a couple times. It's not. So I do a lot more walking and maybe lifting. Kind of back to your point of my margin in the day is trying to get some fresh air, workout, whatever, but it's not running anymore. And then I can feel it's like, oh, I must have had this kind of food this morning because of the way. Like I'm starting to notice things in my body a lot more.
That reminds me, because you said you were his knees were always hurting, achy, like the inflammation, and you said that's gone away. And the kids have noticed. Our daughter was like, Dad looks like skinnier, like just there's not a, I don't know,
Literally,
he's not as like puffy.
Not changing my diet at all. Just not
Just
drinking.
Just not
at all.
drinking.
Yeah.
And previously, just like for reference, for anybody who's listening or for anybody who's curious, I would have at least a drink every day. Like it might be in the evening before I go to bed. It might be a beer before I go to bed or a whiskey, nightcap, whatever. It might be as little as that. Or it might be a day that we're tying one on all day long.
Yeah,
and
like all day Saturday.
I have 15 beers or whatever.
You never know.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
But it'd be very rare that I would go a day without at least having a drink at dinner or before I go to bed or whatever. So now, having gone 3-4 weeks, whatever, in a row without a single drink, it's just completely different.
Well, and we also said, I said this, so I don't know if anyone listening, like his personality doesn't change a ton, but he's definitely less edgy. Like just
I get a little more edgy at times. Like in this state of like a fast or a cleanse, I get a little hard to be around.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, and our daughter was like, Dad just seems like happy.
And I'll tell you,
I don't know. It was just really like not cute, but it was really sweet.
Morgan mentions like the inflammation. I can totally feel that. Like even something simple, like you get up in the morning and you bend over to put your pants on, to put your socks on, whatever, like sore, it would hurt my back. It's tough to lift my legs up. Yeah. And I'm just kind of like writing that off to old age. It's pretty much gone.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, why do we even
So
drink?
I want to throw one thing in here because it's on topic.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard of the grounding blankets?
Yes.
I've heard of it. But
So my folks got us kind of each son or daughter one of those for Christmas if we wanted. They were kind of like, oh, this is what we want to do. We'll see if you like it. Tiff kind of knew about them, so we did get one. I didn't even know. I knew that we were going to get it. I didn't even know when it got put on our bed. So I just knew
'cause
sometime
it's under-
it's
you lay on
it's
top of it?
underneath. You
Okay.
don't notice it
Yeah.
or see it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I'm just not even kidding at all. Normally I would get up about 6:00, 6:15 and kind of go into my routine. I just all of a sudden started waking up at 5 a.m. and just like I could just jump out of bed. And I did that for like 3 mornings in a row. And I was kind of like, and I think Tiffany knew it. She knew what was going on, but we didn't expect that kind of change. And I said, I don't know what is going on. I'm bouncing out of bed fresh and just going right into my routine an hour earlier. And she's like, well, we got that grounding blanket. And I was like, I didn't even know that was in our house yet or whatever. Yeah. So I didn't even, it was like a switch and I didn't know. So, I mean,
I've heard about
I'm going to
those.
throw that out there
No,
that
really
I'm kind of sold on them. And I don't know if that'll go away, but I'm still, I would say every day I kind of go to bed a little sooner and I sleep deeper and I'm waking up earlier because of this concept of, I think it's supposed to make you closer to the magnetic ground.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, they say you should be walking on concrete or in grass 10 to 15 minutes every day. Like you should be
With bare feet.
barefoot.
Yeah,
concrete too.
Concrete
that's
is
a
conductor.
same.
Concrete's
okay.
a conductor. Just obviously not your house bare feet because that's not enough, but you should be concrete or grass. And it's like,
Do you know how, like,
just something
since
about
you
it.
have one, because I've always been curious about it, how it actually grounds?
I think you put it
I
into
don't
I've
know.
heard you
Does
put
it
it
go
into
into
the
a plug?
outlet.
Oh, okay.
There is something plugged in, and then
Yeah.
it's underneath. Like we have a pad. We have a heat blanket too.
Did you get the TB12, the Tom Brady one?
Oh.
No, that would have been like $4,000
Oh,
or something.
okay. I'm like, there's a Tom Brady
I don't
one?
know
Yeah,
that
I
for
don't.
sure. I just know Tom Brady's big into that stuff, and that's one of his things.
I thought I've seen that you like literally have to plug them in
I think
somehow
this
for
one's
it to
plugged
be
in.
grounded.
Yeah.
It makes sense because I'm just thinking from like literally an electrical standpoint, like our bedroom would not necessarily be grounded.
Yeah, how would
So,
it
but if you were to
plug it in?
if
then
you were
it
to
is?
tap into the ground in your wall plug, that would be grounded.
Ooh, got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna look when I get home.
Yeah,
Like,
you should.
where is this coming from?
I've seen ads a lot.
I know there's
It's the old
something new
copper
plugged
wire.
into the bed.
The old copper wire, like a weather vane or something on
yeah,
the barn.
you just never know if they work, so it's good to hear. Yeah,
The other thing
I
that
was skeptical.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what we were getting. Never had heard of them before, and I can just tell you my experience with it.
right.
what I was going to say, the one downside that I've noticed, and I'm sure there's going to be more that come, as you get further into any of these kinds of things, but so like I'm sleeping so much better. I've got so much more energy. I'm way more focused on the things that I'm doing every day, and I feel like I'm getting more done. But my mind is going way faster, and alcohol, gets kind of used as this like slow yourself down a little bit. Like you get home at the end of the day, and you've been going 90 miles an hour, and bam, pound a couple of beers, have a whiskey, whatever. You calm down, you relax. So I'm not getting that anymore. So when it's bedtime, for the most part, like I might be physically tired, but I'm still
You're
going.
rolling.
I'm still going, and that's hard to get to put at bay. You know what I mean?
When you dream, do you have like a lot more like, I don't know if lucid's the right word, but like vivid dreams that you can remember?
I was thinking about that the other day, and I've always had dreams like that.
Oh yeah.
And that I don't think that's changed. And honestly, if anything, for whatever reason, these first few weeks, it's almost been a little bit less.
Wow.
I mean, he can dream, he says, and wake up and get back into the same dream. What?
That's impressive.
Who can do that?
It's a few
Not
times
me.
I would have liked to have that
Haley
happen.
can do that. Like
Wow.
our daughter can too.
Yeah.
I don't even remember any of my dreams. So what does that tell you about me?
I remember
I
them
have
like
no
till
idea.
noon that day, and then they go away, and
Yeah.
I can't remember them anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like, I remember that dream.
Sometimes I have trouble distinguishing reality from my
really?
dreams. Like there might
Wow.
be something that happens during the day, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Did I do
this,
that?
I just experienced this, whatever, blah blah, and then I come to realization like, oh no, actually that was a dream. I'm wrong.
Yeah.
That didn't actually happen.
That makes a lot of sense, especially if it's something important. Like Ashley said, put this on the counter, and that was in your dream. You did it. You did it. And then it gets to be about 5 o'clock. Oh boy, did I really do that? Did I put it on the counter or not?
Right.
So along this topic, can I go on this
Yeah.
tangent about a situation having to do with this health topic? And so lately within the state of Nebraska, some of you have followed Team Jack over
Oh,
the
yeah.
years. Jack Hoffman passed away two weeks ago or 2 or 3 weeks ago.
His
So
father was good buddies with your brother, right?
his dad is my first cousin.
Oh, wow.
So Andy and I knew each other very well from a professional standpoint. We were peers in the same county, did a lot of work together. Andy, and where I'm going with this, when Jack got sick, a lot of people don't know some of this story, and so a lot of it's public, but I can tell you a little bit, and I won't go into a ton of detail, but Andy, I want to challenge us all in the same way professionally. Andy was probably one of the best attorneys in my view. Just he was a business attorney, and he turned basically all of his practice into positive work. Like he kind of quit taking on divorces. He kind of subtly changed when Jack got sick, and then the Team Jack thing was just like, I mean, it just kind of started out of thin air. It started with some T-shirts that got sold, and it just blew up as this foundation. And so and then he was so passionate about changing pediatric brain cancer that basically he knew he had to get healthy if he was going to be a promoter of this. Like if he was going to be able to get, kind of back to your point, get the sponsorships. And, you know, I hope he can forgive me for this since he's been gone for 4 years. But, you know, one of the things that he told me was, you know, I saw myself on video or on camera. Yeah. And I knew I couldn't sell this concept to bring money into. And so he changed his life from a health standpoint, and he started running. And he was probably, you know, he's a few years old. He's probably 4 years older than me. And so he ran the Boston Marathon. A lot of people wouldn't even know that. And Andy would know the Hoffman family from Spencer, Nebraska. Their linemen, generally speaking, their whole generation of them were offensive, defensive linemen, and that's on my mom's side of the family. So running was not something that was natural. You know, they're more of a football player, and but he basically was running every day and drinking water, and he probably just kind of even some of my mental health story. I took a lot of tips from him. He was a mentor to me, and he continually told me. But bigger than that, he had a drive. He had a purpose. So kind of back to what you were talking about, Andy, or of Andy and Andy, I guess, in this situation, but kind of what is that purpose in all of us that would drive you to make you better? You know, and I don't know your story right now of what you're going through with this thing with the alcohol. I got my own story. I'm not going to share it right now, but I'm in the fast thing, and I keep thinking how good it is to be that passionate about something that you will change your health. Yeah. To reach that goal, you know, and that Andy, that was him. And a lot of people don't know this. He had a goal of being governor of Nebraska by age 48. And so he was actually, you know, from a health standpoint, from a business development standpoint, from all these things. Well, then obviously Jack's illness changed a lot of that. And then it was all about, you know, we've got to fix this problem of rural health care in regards to cancer and pediatric, specifically brain cancer. And so I'm going on a big tangent here, but basically, you know, they've raised over $10 million prior to a couple weeks ago. And now the last number I heard was like $14 million. Wow. Team Jack is the gala's in 3 weeks, and it's. I think Kirk Cousins is the keynote this year, but they kind of always.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
And all that to say that just if you can find a drive, find a purpose, you're willing to sacrifice and change your life for. Yeah. You know, that was a good example and a mentor in my life that I got to witness very close to home.
Yeah. Firsthand. Now, that's amazing you mentioned that, because I noticed that without noticing it. Because they're linemen. They're defensive and offensive linemen. So he was stocky and he wasn't very tall.
We were talking about Jocko Willink. That they were not Jocko. They were, but they still had the bulk.
But when you started seeing him represent the foundation on ESPN and going to Lincoln and doing things with the university, he looked good. Really, he looked fit.
That's awesome.
And that's one of those things where it's hard to sell health if you don't look healthy.
It's like going to get your hair done with someone that has bad hair.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like going to a trainer and they're not really fit.
And he did cut alcohol out of his life, and I don't know. I'm not sure I could say how long, but if my best guess would maybe be a year and a half, because we were socially still in the same circles. And he kind of subtle. He didn't like to advertise that, but out on the boat, he would have an NA or whatever, and
a kombucha.
Kombucha, yeah. We just saw this transition. It was very inspiring.
Yeah.
I mean, just to see somebody that motivated to
that whole family, the whole story, everything that's gone on. It really inspiring is the word. For those that don't know, just look up Team Jack.
Yeah.
And everybody from Nebraska knows it. And I do think you got to tip the cap to, Bo Planey.
I actually would love to see Bo come, and I know that the Nebraska administration probably won't allow that. Yeah. But that's my best hope is that one of these days Bo comes back to speak at the gala, because people don't realize how big of part he allowed that. He promoted it.
Yep.
He saw the inspiration in it. I mean, Rex carried the torch. But Rex was coached by what I see as a great, legendary Nebraska coach that won 9 or 10 games every year, which is, we're finding out, very hard to do.
Yeah.
You're saying Rex. Right. That's Rex Burkhead. He was a running back for the Patriots. He was played in a Super Bowl with them. He was also a really good running back for the Cincinnati Bengals for a number of years. And, he's still in constant,
he was at the funeral 2 weeks ago. Ron Brown was there. I wish in hindsight there was a moment there where I just wanted to go up to Ron Brown. Ron Brown's been a inspiration in my life in other ways too, but it's a hard situation when you're at a funeral like that. There's not a lot of time to, those guys aren't going to spend a ton of time there, but driving to Atkinson, Nebraska to be part of that. Just for the family, I miss an opportunity to go talk to Ron Brown and just be heartfelt. Thank you for all your support. And I probably don't know Rex personally as the connection, but he was there, connected with the family. I mean, it was just a sad day all around, but it was neat to see those dignitaries there. And I would have loved to see him kind of stand up and speak, but they did more of a conventional funeral just to kind of.
Ron Brown's one of those coaches where everyone loves him and no one talks about coaching. All of his former players, all his colleagues, they don't ever bring up coaching. They just talk about things deeper that mean more than just X's and O's. It's just amazing.
Yeah, the guys he's influences, I mean, I can't imagine the number.
And for those that don't know Ron Brown, longtime running backs coach at Nebraska, and you probably saw him if you follow sports at all, because he gave the prayer after the Nebraska-Penn State football game, after the Sandusky thing came out, and that was headline news. Like ESPN was struggling, like, how are we going to show highlights to this after the Sandusky scandal? And, there was even questions, should they even have the game? And then Ron Brown somehow rallied it and said a prayer, and God, I don't know, I couldn't have done that,
Yeah. So. This isn't directly related to what you guys are talking about, but in a way, and like even, my own journey and the things that you guys are talking about, I hate that, and I guess it's just a human condition, I hate that we have to go through the bad side of it first before we decide.
Right.
We're gonna.
Why is that?
Yeah. Because
we kind of have to fail before we can succeed.
It makes me think if you had, if there was a person, and I know there has been people like this, that as a kid, as a teenager, whatever, they realize and they're like, okay, this is the direction that I'm going to take on drinking. This is the direction that I'm going to take on finance. This is the direction that I'm going to take on how I'm going to run my life. Blah blah blah. And they did all this. They would be like the ultimate human being. how many years time have we wasted or lost or whatever, even though there's some good that comes from some of it. There's lessons and things like that, but if we had it all right in the beginning, I mean, is that even a thing, or is this what we have to do?
Man, there's a weird balance there. I got two sides of that.
And let me say one more thing before you say that. To tie it in, because Kyle said, how old are you? And then we're all basically the same age and starting to do this kind of thing. And you mentioned, is this just a midlife thing? Well, to me, it is, but it's because in those earlier years, we develop all these bad behaviors, all these bad activities. We just do all these things.
Right.
And then if you have the wherewithal enough, you start to realize it, and good for everybody for realizing it. and starting to do something about it, but we have to go through that first.
Yeah.
Or at least we did go through that first. I don't know that we have to, but what do you think?
Well, it kind of goes back to, don't learn from your own mistakes, learn from somebody else's mistakes.
Yeah.
And like, I love that saying, and I wish I could do that. But then I also remember years and years ago, this guy telling me about, I did this really bad thing, and you don't want to do that. And all I was thinking is, fuck you. That sounded like a lot of fun.
I want to try it.
I want to let me be the judge. Let me try it. I know that no one's ever come out on top with that, but I want to. Why do you get to have
And
that
now
fun?
since you told me not to, I want to.
I'm like, who are you to tell me? Yeah, it's like there's like such a. I don't know balance to that.
Past mentor of mine, Carl Williamson, which Andy would know back from where we grew up. We were one day talking about a large farming project. And he was telling me how so-and-so told him not to, another so-and-so told him not to, and he just goes, I just feel like I really had to find out by myself.
There you go.
And he was living it. He's working through this project, and I think it's been probably a 20, 30-year project for him, and it's successful. If anybody knows Carl Williamson, he's a highly successful farmer back there. And but I'll never forget those words because I would always drip on whatever he would say. I would kind of pay attention to it because he was just a mentor for a lot of the kids in that day when we were in school.
Yeah, no.
And I think even though you can get mentorship, and I think that's important, I love that could be a whole podcast on its own. There are some things until you go through it on your own that you don't quite feel it the same.
Yeah. And like with the Hoffmans, that's a punch in the face. Like you're not gonna.
I got one more Hoffman story. So I was talking to my sister the other day, and I think she'll be okay with me sharing this. So she's got 5 kids, and the one of their girls is the same age as my Jack. So they're first cousins. I have a Jackson too, as well as Team Jack. And so I got back from the funeral. I think I just was kind of calling family to see how they're doing. It was just kind of one of those days where you're calling your siblings to check in and see how it's going. And she is so funny, and I just enjoy her so much. But she's telling me how Sophie, her daughter, thought my Jack died.
Oh gosh!
Oh.
And instantly, my stomach just like I felt what all those people at the funeral, because I'm like one. I'm like almost removed from it. Like I'm not direct family, but that hurt when my sister said that. It put it in perspective of the true pain that they're actually going through. And I know Sophie, and she was just crushed. She thought my son died just overnight or over a couple weeks. She didn't understand that it was actually Team Jack Hoffman.
Yeah, that's rough.
So put it very much in perspective.
Yeah, like how it's like that's beyond bittersweet.
Right. I was like,
Oh,
oh
that's
my
a-
gosh. I think I called one of my
punch.
cousins right then and was like, dude, I am so sorry again that you guys are dealing with this.
Yeah.
No, for those that don't know, Team Jack, check it out.
Check
Sounds
out
like
the
pretty
gala
cool.
a couple
Yeah.
weeks. It's a great cause.
Yeah.
You won't be sad by not promoting it or going to it or donating or whatever.
So we've sucked up a lot of time quickly.
Yeah, we have.
So obviously your specialties are in finance, and we were talking about maybe some things for 25. Do we want to get into some of that, or what do you think?
Oh, well, yeah, we kind of touched on a lot of things, but one of the many things that I got up in the air is, we want to get our your estate planning is your big passion, and that's something that, we need to take it serious, as we're transitioning from our father to us, and there's brothers involved and wives and everything else, so like, that shouldn't be on the back burner. That shouldn't be behind my sports talk show. But what did I spend all last night and this morning doing? Was editing video and talking sports and sports betting, and I haven't spent any time on the financials for our farm. Like that is so fucked up. That is so ass backwards when you just step back and think about that. What matters most? Leaving a legacy, protecting your farm, or having fun dicking off talking
Creating your
about
videos.
Yeah, to creating videos.
Well, I don't know how much time we
But
got. What
like-
do you guys do in the next 8 hours?
Yeah. But like
Yeah.
as an outsider, why do you have to do this? Isn't this something your parents are supposed to do? Again, I don't know this stuff. No?
Well, it has to be a team effort. You know,
Oh,
it's a
okay.
family
I thought
thing.
you were just taking it all yourself. Like
No.
you're saying, like powwowing everybody. And
Yeah, just
okay.
trying
okay.
to do anything. I'm just saying I haven't put any effort into it. Like,
Okay.
you know,
I got you. I'm like trying to make
Yeah.
you not feel as guilty.
Yeah.
Sorry, not
Thank you.
sorry. But
Yeah.
like, I just was like, why is this all on your shoulders? Okay.
It's not. That's another thing that you got to, work balance.
So on that topic, I'm going to use kind of your words earlier that were pretty powerful for anybody. I think you kind of talked about, and I'm sure we got to probably keep moving here and probably be done pretty soon. But how do I get better? I think that's where whatever area of life you're in, like what is your 1% better? Yeah. So, I mean, I would say the same applies to finances. And the other thing that I was kind of thinking about, and I think kind of back to that middle age and kind of what we're all doing here. One thing and I can't remember whether it was a book or a video, or I can't remember where I picked this up, but a lot of our earlier stage of life, you're earning income and kind of building assets. I think when you get to our stage or at this stage, when you think about you need to book some time to manage assets. So whether that's a 401k, whether that's a piece of land, whether you're part of a farmland that's an LLC, those are big assets. And if they're mishandled, it can be detrimental to multiple generations. And kind of back to your point was, it's very important to have. We encourage most of the time that we can multi-generational meetings. I mean, those are probably some of my favorite ones to help host. And so how can we? And I always tell people it's not a one and done. This isn't like you get your annual report done for your ranch LLC and then you're done for 5 years. It's more like okay, how do I create a monthly cadence or maybe a quarterly? I kind of work in that kind of box of what am I going to do every year? How am I going to improve? And one thing I would like to do better is probably take a week or two during the year to basically schedule nobody and kind of work on this stuff, work on the assets, work on the big picture stuff, like where are we going, what are we doing? And that may be a longer time than people have, but that's and sometimes for me it's going to a conference and staying an extra day to basically business plan, and so I would say as kind of my last hurrah for today would just be think about working on your assets rather than creating income at this stage of life. Now, we're all kind of in that low 40s in this room. I think every age group has their different things going on, but that's something that's going to be a little bit of a theme for me going forward, and something I advise on is how are you taking care of your assets? What do you have and how do you manage it? Because some people will just work 16 hours a day and they get nowhere. And that's what we'll probably see more than not is
You're working in it, not on it.
right. Yeah.
What I have two questions. One, if this applies to what you just said, what about just your average everyday working family? What I mean by that is like the majority of the folks who, mom and dad, or if they're single people or whatever, they've got a 9 to 5 or 10-hour day job, whatever. They do that. They go home. They got their truck. They got their house. They got their kid. Whatever. They're just living their life. They're not running a business. They're not running a farm. For those particular folks, what would be a suggestion from you for them for this time of year? What should they be thinking about? What should they be looking at?
So for the common folk, right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
So I would just recommend treat your financial plan and possibly your estate plan just like you would a dentist appointment or a doctor's appointment, a yearly physical. Make sure you're making time for that to understand where you're at. And probably I recommend obviously having a third party help see what you should be seeing or help you put things together to know kind of exactly where you're at financially.
Oh, great. So we have someone doesn't go to the doctor. So
Yeah, so I don't go to the financial.
Maybe hit the doctor first.
I don't go to the financial
I don't know which
advisor.
comes before which.
I'm
Is
just
it the
saying.
cart ahead
When
of
you
the
said
horse?
that, I mean, he does go to the dentist, so we're good on that. But
1 out of 3, you're good.
So the second question that I had, and I'll start by I just want you to give me a yes or no. should you be looking at crypto right now or not?
So Ameriprise has not.
Yes or no?
Just a yes or no.
Well, that's what I want to start with. What's the initial? What's the straight out the gate?
I think my personal recommendation is you should be paying attention to it.
Okay. And then, all right, then go ahead and elaborate a little bit.
Okay, so we don't endorse an investment into crypto. A lot of those are your kind of what we were talking about earlier. Your Robin Hoods. There's some platforms out there that'll allow for it. I have some friends and clients that have done very well on their own, and some that have lost over the years. I always look at it this way. A lot of people, I'll get the gold, and I'm going to take it a little direction here. People will ask me, should I invest in gold?
Right.
And so you kind of have gold and crypto at this two ends of the spectrum. Like crypto's the new thing, gold's the past. And Henry Ford, and I just remember this from touring the plant, he once told his council or inner cabinet, he said, if I would have asked the people what we should build, they would have told me, and he was kind of mad at his cabinet for not coming up with whatever he was trying to get, probably the Model T. And he said the people would have told me to build or to breed a faster horse. And so that's kind of the analogy I use for gold, but I'm going to take that into the crypto direction. We're already kind of in a digital currency world. I don't personally understand, and I think we should do another podcast on blockchain technology as it relates to crypto.
That'd be very, very interesting. Yeah.
Very interesting. And so when you get into that world, I think that is probably the future. Right now, there's no government that regulates it, so that's got everybody a little scared about it. At some point, that'll change. And there'll be some regulation, and I think that'll be the point where we'll really know what it should be valued at. I think right now it's kind of ominous. I don't know that anybody that it's just bought and sold.
So it's kind of like right now it's kind of like the Wild West. So you've got some opportunities to make some gains on that are unusual because it's just kind of the Wild West. But you also, because of that, you could fall just as hard as well.
Sounds like NIL.
I don't disagree.
It sounds like a number of things that we talk about. And I'll leave it with this, unless you guys have anything else. Gold. You mentioned gold, and I think that's a funny thing as well. And we could talk about that stuff too. But I think of gold like I think of neckties.
Oh my gosh!
It all comes back to
I have not
I
heard
don't know
this
when
one.
you guys name the podcast, but this one's got to be about neckties.
Gold versus neckties. Neckties.
Let's hear it.
Neckties are fancy because we've just decided they're fancy. Gold is worth a lot because we've just decided it's worth a lot. Why? Because this mineral and this rock has a little bit of shininess to it. It's somewhat rare. Do we think that it's worth so much damn money and we're going to use it to back value in currency? Like it blows my mind.
Like, so you're saying instead of like aluminum or rock?
Anything.
Aluminum's more useful, I think.
I'm just wondering,
Like,
what would you replace
it's in
it
more
with?
things.
Yeah, so
Probably.
it's not even based on the fact that it can be used for something. It's just based on the fact that it's shiny, it's somewhat rare, and so we think it's worth a lot of money. And it's literally just a mentality when you think about it.
I can't wait. I'm going to remember this.
What?
Agent Blue, we have a new guest.
Oh yeah.
He will lay it on you.
Oh, he
will tell you what's going on with
he
gold.
will?
I
And
promise.
Why?
it's going to take you out of this world.
He's got some opinions.
Oh, you think
I
he has
promise.
opinions about gold?
About money, gold,
No.
currency.
This is why people value gold and always had. It's a very fascinating story. I can't wait.
So you've got some. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
all right.
Agent,
all right.
Blue, Agent Blue's going to lay it on you.
When he
Ben.
gets in, we'll
Yep.
get into
Okay.
it.
He'll tell you.
Anyway, so neckties are overrated.
Gold.
And so is gold.
Gold's overrated.
So
And
is
that's-
drinking. You better fast. You better work out. Team Jack. I mean, we covered a lot of shit today, guys.
We
And
did.
drink more kombucha.
Yes, and kombucha. This is so good.
I like mine too.
I'll get
like
some more.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you go, tell me again where this is from.
If
First
you
Street.
guys
Yes.
go on the road sometimes, I should have you come up to Oakland. I think
Yeah.
we could. What
Oh, that would
do
be
I have
fun.
to have for equipment, or do you bring all the equipment?
We've brought it before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, unless
No,
you
it's
got
fun.
an NFM studio.
We might.
That was a pretty
Working
nice
on it.
studio. Yeah.
Really?
So-
Pretty nice.
Last thing I got here, we'll leave it with this. MidlandUSA.com. We talked about them. We talked about them on a few different podcasts. But if you go to MidlandUSA.com, if you're looking for radios, so your walkie-talkies, it's starting to get. People are getting ready for planting season. Mm-hmm. You need radios for your tractors. You need radios for your equipment. This is where you go. MidlandUSA.com. Look for this stuff. Get your base stations, get your antennas. I'm looking right now in the cart. I have an antenna in here for my ATV that I need to get on the front of it to get some more distance. And I put in the code at checkout just to make sure it works. Farm Focused, all one word, FOCUSED. 15% off, totally works. Go on, check it out, MidlandUSA.com.
Bingo.
I like it.
Anything else, guys?
That'll do it.
Well, thanks for
No,
coming,
this is
Kyle. It was
good.
fun,
Yeah,
man.
thanks,
Thank you,
Kyle.
guys.
Yeah, good
as
to see
always.
you again. All
What do
right.
we need to call him? A third Pete offender?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay.
Three-peat.
Okay.
Three-peat?
Mr.
Yeah.
Three-peat.
Okay.
All right, closing it out.
Later.
See you.